I just carried 20 pounds of backpack painting gear here to my local view, and we're going to stop and do a little bit of painting. I'm celebrating World Watercolor Month with a new video every day in July. I just carried 20 pounds of backpack painting gear here to my local view, and we're going to stop and do a little bit of painting. I'm going to set up my plein air setup so you can watch that, and hopefully the wind's not too brisk so there's not a lot of audio noise. If there is, I'll just plan to maybe do some voiceover after I get back home. I've got everything in this backpack. It's heavier than it needed to be because I had to bring a tripod for my video gear, and I do have a setup that weighs probably less than 10 pounds that I bring sometimes, but today I wanted to bring just a little bit more, challenge myself, and so that's what I did. Kind of regretted it partway along the way. So the On Plein Air Pro, which is my plein air painting kit, comes with this backpack, comes with this tripod, it comes with this tray, basically, which is what sits here. Now, I always forget with the Plein Air Pro that I need to have two legs facing me, so I actually need to turn it this direction. The Plein Air Pro also comes with this tray, and that just slots onto the tripod, just like so. My daughter made me a wooden one like this, and I really liked it, but it broke the first time I put it in my luggage. It cracked, so this has held up better for travel. Another reason my gear weighed so much is I brought two different kinds of paper. This little pouch is my go bag for plein air. I've got a palette. This has my Daniel Smith dot card in it. I did bring a brush roll today because I wanted to paint a little larger than just a sketchbook or a small sketchbook. I also have a couple of travel brushes, collapsible water cup, which is really worthwhile because it just saves so much space in your bag. I think few things take up more useless space than a water container. And then I always have a couple of these bulldog clips along. And I've got some water in my backpack too. Okay, so we're gonna get in closer. Anytime it's breezy, I'm really thankful for those bulldog clips. And it is a bit breezy today. As I'm getting set up, I should be looking at the view and just thinking about what I'm seeing. This is the Kilimanjaro watercolor paint book, and I really like these. I have two 9x12s. It comes with a leaflet in between each watercolor sheet, so it's a good place to write notes or do your value studies. Any water I don't use I'm going to be drinking because I don't want to carry it back. I like to paint with two water containers, but I don't like to carry two watercolor containers if I'm backpacking, so you make do with what you have. Kind of looking up and out, so I'm kind of thinking about this view, but I'm also thinking I'm very much going to be planning to work with it abstractly. Think about your first version as being basically a throwaway. You just need to get yourself oriented. So don't make it too precious. I have the feeling that I'm going to break free in a minute and start to feel my courageous freedom. And that's what I want to get to before I grab another piece of paper. Well, if you can believe it, 5 guys just drove by. 15 minutes ago, we had 2 guys come by in ATVs. And unbelievably, they didn't even look in my direction. I thought, well, they're cool dudes. They're going to pretend they don't see me. Coming back, all of a sudden, he sees me. It's like, what the heck? How do you go down these beautiful trails and not actually look around to see what you can see? What a waste. Have fun, boys. Okay, still trying to break loose, and it really is the hardest thing for me. How do we paint a tree without painting a tree? How do we paint a scene without painting every detail in the scene? That's the question, the challenge, the dream. At the end of the day, you get to paint whatever you want. And that's what I need to keep reminding myself. I can stand here and I don't have to paint the view. I want to paint the view. I think I should paint the view. But everything's kind of sucking. Okay, maybe I'm breaking loose. This is kind of like this. This little mass of pretty color. Hey girl. Thanks for protecting me. She's pretty relaxed. She smelled all the smells. See, I kind of like that. Yep. That's trying to decide if I should pull down more lavender on this side. Fill this space. Bring in some green gold. Lovely, lovely dog. 6 years ago, yesterday, she joined our family just as a puppy. She's a lovely little mixed breed of, we're not sure what, smorgasbord of sweet-tempered dog. You know, I've never spattered Verditer Blue before. Interestingly, I feel like even the way I'm talking is sounding more relaxed. We'll say that it's the forest bathing that's doing it. Bringing in some zoisite. Paint some symbols of trees. I want to just take a moment and pause here and talk about where you buy your art supplies, because I'm sharing my plein air palette and set up different supplies all through this month, and I know I've got links in the description below the video that will help you to shop, but I also know that I'm sharing links that are convenient for me, and sharing links that maybe meet the needs of a certain amount of my audience. If you're in the US, most of these links work for Americans, and maybe not so much for international purchasers. And so I wanted to just take this minute and talk about shopping for art supplies. It can be hard. It can be intimidating. I had an email from someone who told me they left Michael's in tears recently, just looking for art supplies and not getting the help they needed. And so when you go to buy your materials, I think it is a good thing to think about where am I going to find what I need. The first thing I want to say is if you have a local art supply store, and you can afford to shop there. I know sometimes the prices can be a little bit more because they're buying smaller quantities than the big box stores or than you might find online. But do, whenever possible, try to support your local art supply store. Get to know the owner, have conversations with them. Often art supply store owners are passionate about art, but they might not be watercolor artists, and so they might be really eager to have some feedback from someone who's using watercolor materials and wants to, share what you're using and ask questions about supplies. You can often offer some guidance or request special items that they might not bring in regularly, but you just get that personal support, and that's worth a lot. It was a little bit of a wake-up call for me recently because my local art supply store, I didn't think I had a local art supply store. And because I live in this small northern town, I do most of my purchasing online. And I knew that there was a store in town that had just a little small craft section with a few professional watercolor supplies. And recently when I went there, I was surprised to see that they had really doubled down on what they provide for fine art materials. The craft section was much smaller, but they'd really expanded the materials that you might offer to a serious artist. And that was really exciting to me because I can go in, I can ask to speak to Leslie. If I'm teaching a local workshop, I can actually ask her to bring in supplies for my students. And I'm really excited about the possibilities that are available for me with working with my local store. And it makes me just that much more excited to work with them. When I'm not purchasing from my local shop, there are some local art supply stores that I order from. So I'm much less likely to order from a really large manufacturer, and I'm much less likely to order out of the US because I am in Canada. I am aware that I might be charged customs and duty on things that I order. And so I do try to keep my orders within Canada when I can. Opus Art Supplies operates out of British Columbia, and they have storefronts, but they also have a wonderful mail order service, and I often will order from them. And Delta Art in Edmonton, the Paint Spot in Edmonton, I've worked with them. I've had good relationships with them as well. If you are working with your local art supply store, I want to add this. I love working with art supply stores. If they have a learning space and you'd like to see if they're willing to invite me to come and teach in their learning space, or if I'm traveling and I'm going to be near a local store, I love making those connections with independently owned art supply shops and working to maybe do a demonstration there and promote some of their products or teach in their learning space. Additionally, there are times when I'm ordering from Amazon, and this is generally more when I'm thinking about the things that I need here in my studio, maybe that aren't professional paint brushes and so forth. When I'm looking for some of the things that are a little bit more mass-produced, I'll often work with Amazon. And one example of that would be with the webcams that I use for recording lessons, the smaller electronics that I need to operate my business. I'll usually order those from Amazon. We don't have a camera shop in my small town either. I was also noticing that with this plein air lesson that I'm sharing with you today, I'm talking about the On Plein Air Pro kit. And, it's not a blanket endorsement of that kit. And the On Plein Air Pro, when you order a kit, often you end up with pieces that you're not going to use. I do use the large backpack that my Plein Air Pro comes with, but you might not need a backpack. I don't use the plastic palette that came with that kit. So there's a few different materials that just feel like a little extra, and I don't love that they were included in the price. I didn't really have an option to opt out of the items I wasn't going to use. And so I noticed that there is a company on Amazon, there's a Meeden plein air palette that it's a tripod, easel, and tray setup, very similar to the Plein Air Pro. So with the Meeden plein air painting set, and I'm going to link to it below, you end up just with the tripod, the tray, and the easel. The price point looks good. Then you're saving money because you're not getting all those additional things on the Plein Air Pro website. And the meet-in set, the tripod might not hold up, but that's something that you can replace and swap out. I really like to shop from smaller manufacturers or smaller shops when I can. And for the things I can't, those, small electronics, the mass-produced kind of, plastic palettes that I use for travel, the Miele palettes are readily available on Amazon. Little accessory type things that make my job easier, I'm generally looking for those on Amazon. Let's make some fun little, I wish I had a word for these marks. To me, they look childish. Like, there's really not less of a mark, less sophisticated of a mark that you could make than just pressing and getting that little kind of teardrop shape. And I think that's why I like it so much lately. It's been kind of wooing me to be able to make super unstudied marks. Let's make some unstudied marks of different sizes. More zoisite. So what I'm thinking about here, so I'm sure you're really wondering, is this is my focal point, building out from that major shape. Everything else that happens should somehow be drawn out from that. Kind of like the blue that's coming, the blue violet from the combination of verditer blue and rose of ultramarine. Let's mix more. And then figure out where to put it. Apparently, Jeannie Carbonetti, I think, calls little dots at the later stage of the painting Klimt dots, like Gustav Klimt, because he put them into his paintings, and so they're little exclamation points at the end of the painting. And I'm drawn to that idea. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with more watercolor advice you can learn from. Don't forget to include the hashtag World Watercolor Month when you participate and post watercolor art in July.